When God blesses you, you will see these four signs. Imagine waking up one day with a calm certainty that something in your life has shifted. You can't quite put your finger on it, but you sense an invisible hand guiding your steps. It's that feeling when doors start opening without you knocking, and a deep peace steadies your heart, even though the storm still rages around you. Such moments captivate the soul and make you wonder, could this be a sign of something greater at work? In our busiest and darkest hours alike, there are subtle clues that the divine is moving in our lives, clues often overlooked yet impossible to ignore once noticed. We live in a world that measures blessing by bank accounts, job titles, and applause. It's easy to assume that being blessed means having an easier life or more material comfort. But what if true blessing runs far deeper? What if the greatest gifts from God are less about what's in your hands and more about what's happening in your heart? The ancient Stoics taught the value of inner fortitude over external fortune, and in a faith-centered life, the same principle holds true. God's favor doesn't always arrive as a flashy miracle or a sudden windfall. Often, it comes as a steady transformation within you and around you, enriching your soul more than your pockets. When the grace of God truly touches your life, you begin to change in remarkable ways. In fact, when God pours out his blessing on you, four unmistakable signs will appear. These signs aren't about boasting or outward show. They penetrate to the core of your being and alter the very course of your journey. You'll find an unexplainable calm in chaos, paths clearing that were once blocked, a refining of your character, and a new alignment of your dreams with a higher purpose. How do you know for sure that you're walking in God's favor? Let's explore the four profound signs that indicate God is truly blessing you. Sign 1. Unshakable peace in the storm. The first sign of divine blessing is a deep, unshakable peace that settles in your soul. This isn't the kind of peace that comes from having an easy life or everything figured out. It's peace in the midst of chaos, a calm that stands firm when everything around you is in turmoil. When God blesses you with his presence, the storms of life may still blow fierce winds, but inside your heart, there is a calm harbor. You find yourself surprisingly steady and collected at times when, by all rights, you should be stressed or afraid. This peace surpasses all human understanding. It doesn't seem logical, yet it anchors you. It's the quiet confidence that no matter how hard the rain falls, you are guarded by something greater than the storm. This inner tranquility acts like a shield around your heart. Imagine walking through uncertainty, job troubles, health scares, family conflicts, and still feeling a profound assurance that you will be okay. God's blessing of peace fortifies you from the inside. Even when the road ahead is unclear, you are not easily rattled. You rest in the knowledge that your steps are guided by a loving God, so you don't need to have all the answers. It's not that challenges disappear, rather, your approach to them changes. You carry a settled spirit, handling difficulties with grace, because you trust that you never walk alone. This gift of peace is a clear sign that God's hand is on you, providing strength to remain calm and composed where others might panic. Life will always throw trials our way: financial strains, personal loss, strained relationships, sudden crises. In those moments when anxiety would normally take over, God's peace becomes your refuge. Think of it as stepping inside a quiet sanctuary, while a storm thunders outside. The problems may still be there, but they no longer dictate your emotions or outlook. You begin to rise above the noise and confusion. With a clear mind and steady heart, you can make decisions confidently, grounded in faith rather than fear. Each day you face, you do so with the inner strength of knowing that whatever comes, God is with you through it all. Such peace is transformative. It softens your reactions and changes your perspective. Instead of reacting with anger or despair when something goes wrong, you respond with trust and patience. You come to realize that true peace is not a fleeting feeling tied to circumstances, but a state of being rooted in faith. It's the state of knowing who you are in God, his beloved child, and trusting his promises to carry you. When you have this calm within, it doesn't just stay inside you, it shines outward. People around you notice there's something different about your demeanor. In a crisis, you are the one who remains steady. In a negative environment, you maintain hope. This steadiness in your spirit becomes a testimony, a living example of God's faithfulness. Those who are struggling will see the light in your eyes and the quiet confidence in your voice, and they'll wonder how you remain so composed. That is when you can say, "It's not me, it's God's peace holding me together." This unshakable peace is one of the greatest blessings you can receive. It reassures you at the deepest level that God is by your side. Every time you stay calm in a situation that used to bring you anxiety, it's a reminder. This is what it feels like to be blessed and protected by God. When turmoil comes and you remain grounded, you are experiencing the evidence of His favor. It is a peace the world can't give, and it is one of the clearest signs that God's grace is at work in you. Sign 2. Doors once closed, now open. Another unmistakable sign of God's blessing is that doors begin to open that you could never open on your own. Opportunities suddenly present themselves in your life that leave you in awe. Paths that were blocked or hidden before are now lit with possibility. You might notice that after a long season of waiting or struggling, things start falling into place in ways that are almost too perfect to be coincidences. This isn't luck or mere chance. It's God placing you exactly where you need to be, at exactly the right time. Think back to times when you felt stuck. Maybe you knocked on the door of a dream job or a relationship or a goal for years and nothing moved. You tried everything in your power and nearly gave up hope, wondering if perhaps your aspirations were too big or if you were simply not worthy of such blessings. It's often at that breaking point, when you reach the limit of what you can do, that God steps in. Suddenly, the door that refused to budge swings wide open. Without explanation, the promotion lands in your lap, the right person walks into your life, or a project finally takes off. These moments leave you marveling, because you know you didn't force it. It happened through grace. When God opens a door, it has a signature feel to it. You walk through and immediately sense, this is meant for me. This is God's doing. An open door from God often comes with a peace and clarity that confirm it's not just a random stroke of luck. You might meet someone who offers exactly the help you needed, or find out about an opportunity that perfectly fits your unique gifts. These are the kind of breaks you couldn't have orchestrated if you tried. They have God's fingerprints all over them. The once impossible now becomes reality, and you recognize that without His intervention, you would still be standing on the other side, knocking. It's important to realize, too, that God's timing is perfect. We may not understand why we faced so many closed doors before, but when the right door opens at the right time, it becomes clear why the wait was necessary. Each opportunity that arises comes at a moment designed for your growth and success. Perhaps if it had come earlier, you wouldn't have been ready. In hindsight, you see that every delay, every no you encountered, was setting you up for a better yes. When that door finally opens, it often comes with a sense of, now I see what God was doing. There's a divine alignment. The opportunity brings not just excitement, but also a profound sense of purpose and confirmation. You realize that God has orchestrated circumstances in a way you could never have imagined. However, there is more to these open doors than just walking through them and accepting the blessing. Each new opportunity carries a responsibility and a calling. When God blesses you by clearing a path, He's also inviting you to step up and make the most of it. Think of it this way. If God opens the door to a promotion at work, He's also calling you to use that position for good, to influence others positively and carry yourself with integrity. If He opens the door to a new relationship or friendship, He's encouraging you to pour love and Christ-like grace into that connection. Every door God opens is an invitation to a higher level of purpose. You're not just walking into a new room. You're stepping into a greater calling. Walking through these divinely open doors requires faith and courage. You might not feel completely prepared. In fact, God often opens doors that we feel unready for, precisely so we will rely on Him for guidance. But remember this, if God brought you to it, He will equip you for it. He doesn't open a path and then abandon you. He provides the wisdom, resources, and strength you need in order to succeed in the new place He's put you. This itself is a sign of His blessing. Not only the opportunity, but the growth and provision that come with it. You find yourself learning and adapting in ways you never thought possible, because God's grace is supplying your needs at every step. As these changes happen, trust His timing completely. Maybe you've also noticed that sometimes one door closes right before another opens. It can be disheartening when a prospect falls through or something you counted on doesn't work out. But under God's blessing, a closed door isn't the end. It's often a strategic move. When one door closes, it clears the path to something greater. You will later see that the door which shut was necessary to guide you to the much better one down the hall that God had prepared. So if you encounter a closing, don't lose heart. Lift your eyes in faith, because a new opening full of promise is coming. Each opportunity that unfolds by God's hand will lead you toward a life of greater fulfillment and impact. Walk boldly through those doors, knowing they were opened by a loving Father who wants the best for you. Every chance you're given to advance, to meet someone new, to take on a fresh challenge, these are opportunities laced with divine purpose. They are meant not just to bless you, but to empower you to be a blessing to others. Perhaps that new job enables you to help those in need with your resources, or that new platform allows you to encourage and inspire many. God's open doors always carry a ripple effect of goodness. As you go from one open door to the next, remain humble and grateful. Recognize that these breakthroughs are signs of God working on your behalf. He knows the desires of your heart better than you do, and when the time is right, He makes a way where there was no way. Each breakthrough, each finally it happened moment in your life is a reminder that you are not journeying alone. God is actively involved, lovingly guiding you to the places He's prepared for you. With each new doorway you step through, take a moment to reflect and say, "Thank you, Lord, for leading me here." This attitude keeps you grounded in faith, acknowledging that it's His power, not yours, that opened every opportunity. And that continual awareness is itself a blessing, because it keeps you connected to the one who is the source of all good things. Sign 3, transformation from the inside out. The third sign of God's blessing is a profound transformation of your character. When God blesses you, He doesn't only give you external gifts or improved circumstances. He works on you. Bit by bit, you'll notice that you are not the same person you used to be. Your heart, your mindset, and your daily habits begin to change for the better. This inner transformation is one of the clearest indicators that God is active in your life, because it is something you could never accomplish purely by willpower. It is a refining process guided by His hand, shaping you to become more like His image. One of the first areas of growth you may recognize is an increase in patience. Life presents many situations that test our patience: delayed plans, difficult people, unanswered prayers. Our natural response is often frustration or anxiety when things aren't happening on our timetable. But under God's blessing, you start to develop a calmer spirit. You find yourself able to wait longer without losing peace. This isn't just the gritting teeth kind of waiting. It's waiting with grace. Patience in its true form is the ability to endure delays or hardships with a trusting heart, believing that God's timing is perfect, even when it differs from your own. As this virtue grows in you, it becomes clear that it's God's doing, since by ourselves we tend to want everything now. Every time you choose to be patient rather than jump into worry or anger, you are living out a sign of God's transformative blessing. Along with patience comes a deeper kindness and compassion for others. In a world that often focuses on self-interest, genuine kindness can be a rare trait. But as God blesses you, something beautiful happens. Your heart softens. You begin to see people through God's eyes. That coworker who used to irritate you, now you sense they might be going through something, and you feel empathy instead of annoyance. You become more willing to lend a helping hand or speak a kind word, even if there's no benefit to you. Your capacity to love others grows, especially toward those who can't repay you, or those who once were difficult to love. This compassionate spirit is a reflection of God's love taking root in you. It's not just about doing random acts of kindness once in a while. Kindness becomes part of who you are, an attitude woven into your daily life. This change in how you treat others is a strong sign that God's grace is molding your character. Another aspect of this inward transformation is a growth in love, both love for God and love for people. When you experience God's favor, He teaches you what real love looks like. Often, this lesson comes through challenges. You might encounter someone who hurts you or tests you, and instead of hardening your heart, You feel God prompting you to forgive and love them anyway. God's own love is unconditional and steadfast. And as He works in you, you start mirroring that unconditional love in your relationships. You come to understand that love isn't merely a feeling that comes and goes. It is a choice and an action. For example, you decide to put someone else's needs before your own, or you offer forgiveness where most people would seek revenge. These are not easy choices, but as you make them, you realize something inside you has changed. You're acting with a love that goes beyond your natural capacity. That is God's love flowing through you, a sure sign of His transformative blessing. God's blessings also cultivate humility in your character. When good things happen or when you achieve success, it becomes clear to you that it's not just your effort that got you there. It's God's grace. This realization humbles you in the best way. You no longer seek credit or applause for yourself. Instead, you're quick to acknowledge, I couldn't have done this alone. Thank God for His help. Humility grows as you see that every talent, every opportunity, every victory is ultimately a gift from above. Rather than puffing up with pride, you develop a thankful heart. A humble spirit is attractive and magnetic. People feel at ease around you because you aren't competing for honor. You're giving honor to God. That shift from ego to humility is a remarkable change, one that certainly signals God's influence in your life. Another fruit of inner transformation is self-control. In a culture that says follow every impulse, or if it feels good, do it, having self-control is truly countercultural and powerful. Under God's blessing, you find strength to resist temptations that used to easily trip you up. Perhaps you're able to hold your tongue when you're angry, whereas before you might have lashed out. Or you break free from an old habit or addiction that kept you bound, surprising even yourself with the resolve you now have. This new discipline isn't born out of fear or legalism. It comes from a genuine desire to honor God with your choices. You start to prefer what is right over what is easy, and when you falter, as humans do, you feel God's gentle correction guiding you back, and you get stronger each time. Every act of self-control is evidence that God is shaping your will and your desires to mirror His righteousness. Over time, you notice that exercising restraint in one area, like your words or spending or appetites, leads to greater peace and freedom in your soul. You're no longer a slave to every whim. You're living in the freedom of saying no to what harms you and yes to what edifies you, by God's grace. As God continues to pour His favor on you, you also become more faithful, steadfast in your commitment to Him and to the path He's put before you. Faithfulness means that you don't give up easily. When times get tough, instead of abandoning your values or doubting God's goodness, you hold on tighter. This trait is forged during trials. Each time you face a challenge and decide to trust God through it, you are effectively saying, Lord, I believe You're with me, even in this. And God honors that. You'll find your ability to trust Him only grows stronger the more you exercise it. Being faithful also means you keep showing up and doing the right thing consistently. Maybe it's staying dedicated to your family, your church, or your personal integrity, even when you feel unappreciated or when it's inconvenient. That consistency is a reflection of God's own faithfulness. In fact, as you look back, you start to recognize how faithful God has been to you in all things. He never left you, never broke a promise. That awareness deepens your loyalty to Him. You become a person who says, I will serve and trust God not just in the good times, but even in the valley. Such unwavering devotion in your heart is a shining result of His blessing, transforming you from within. It's important to note that this transformation of character is a journey, not a one-time event. You don't suddenly wake up one morning perfectly patient, kind, loving, humble, self-controlled, and faithful. Instead, God often works little by little, day by day. You may only notice the change when you compare your heart now to where it was a year ago or 5 years ago. That's when you marvel, I really have changed, and I couldn't have done this on my own. There will be setbacks and lessons along the way. Times you lose patience or act selfishly, but even those moments God uses to teach and refine you further. Over the years, you'll see a beautiful growth pattern, a gradual, continual shaping of your character to reflect God's character. This ongoing process is itself a blessing. As you are transformed, something else happens. You become a blessing to others. The changes God makes in you aren't just for your benefit. They inevitably touch the people around you. Your family, friends, and even strangers will notice the difference. Your patience diffuses conflicts. Your kindness lifts someone's burden. Your humility inspires teamwork. Your integrity earns respect. And your faithful spirit encourages those who are wavering. In this way, your life turns into a testimony of God's goodness. People may ask you, how did you become so different? What's your secret to staying so positive and composed? And that opens the door for you to point to God, saying, it's His work in me. Your transformation becomes a story that gives hope to others, that they too can change and grow. Truly, this inner growth is one of the most precious blessings God can give. While material blessings might come and go, the virtues and character God develops in you will last a lifetime and beyond. Patience, kindness, love, humility, self-control, faithfulness. These are treasures no one can take away from you. They shape you into the person you were meant to be and prepare you for all the good plans God has ahead. In fact, when you possess these qualities, you carry God's light within you wherever you go. That is why this transformation is often called the fruit of God's Spirit. It naturally grows and then it nourishes others. It is a sign that God's favor is truly upon you, working deeply in your soul. When you observe these virtues flourishing in your life, take heart. It means you are living under God's blessing, and He is actively changing you for the better. Sign 4. Living aligned with divine purpose. The fourth sign that God is blessing you is a profound alignment of your desires and dreams with His higher purpose for your life. In other words, what you want begins to mirror what God wants for you. This is a monumental shift. By nature, we often chase after personal ambition. We're taught to seek success, status, and material wealth, thinking they will fulfill us. But one day you may wake up and realize that those things, while nice, aren't truly satisfying your soul. When God's hand is on you, He gently redirects your heart toward what really matters. Your priorities start to change. The goals and wishes that once consumed you take a back seat to a new driving force, a desire to do God's will and live out His plan. You might notice this alignment in small ways at first. Perhaps you always dreamed of a certain career, mostly for the money or recognition it would bring. As God's influence grows in your life, you begin to think differently about that dream. It's not that the career itself is bad, but now you're asking, how can I use this path to honor God or help others? The focus shifts from getting to giving, from my glory to God's glory. True fulfillment starts to come, not from applause or rewards, but from knowing you are doing what you were created to do. This is a sign that your heart is lining up with God's heart. The things that used to satisfy you, maybe a new luxury item or public acclaim, somehow don't carry the same thrill anymore. Instead, you find greater joy in acts of service, in personal growth, in relationships and work that have eternal significance. When your desires align with God's purpose, you experience a sense of meaning that runs deeper than anything you've known before. You come to realize that success by the world's standards and success by God's standards are very different things. The world might say you need a high income, a big house, or a certain social status to be happy. But God's purpose for you might involve impacting lives, showing love, raising a family in faith, creating something that inspires people, or serving those in need. As His blessings flow, your eyes open to this greater vision. You find yourself drawn to pursuits that reflect compassion, justice, mercy, and love, because these are pursuits close to God's heart. For example, you might start investing more time in your family or community, where you feel a tug to volunteer or start a project that helps others. These inclinations show that God is steering your passions. Where once you might have been preoccupied with, how can I get ahead? Now you think, how can I make a difference? This change brings an immense sense of fulfillment. There is a special kind of contentment that comes when you know you are exactly where you are meant to be, doing exactly what you are meant to do. Even if the work is hard or the path unconventional, you have a settled assurance in your spirit. You understand that your life is part of a bigger story, God's story. Each day has purpose because you're living it in step with Him. This doesn't mean that everything suddenly becomes easy or that you won't face uncertainty. But even when the road is challenging, you carry inside you the confidence that you're on the right path. It's like having a compass that always points true north. You may not see the whole map, but you trust the direction. That trust yields peace, instead of constantly second-guessing your choices or comparing your life to others. You rest in the conviction that God is guiding your journey. Another beautiful aspect of this alignment is that you begin to see your talents and resources as tools for a higher calling. Perhaps you have skills in teaching, in business, in art, or in hospitality. Whatever they are, you start to sense that these were given to you for a reason. Under God's blessing, you realize your gifts aren't just for personal gain. They are there to be shared and to bless others. If you're an artist, you feel inspired to create works that uplift souls. If you're good in business, you find ways to serve your employees or community through your leadership. If you have a knack for empathy, you might find yourself mentoring or comforting people more. Your life's work becomes an offering, large or small, to something that honors God's intentions. In this season, even challenges and setbacks take on new meaning. When something doesn't go according to your original plan, instead of feeling devastated, you have the perspective to ask, what is God teaching me here? How is this redirection part of his better plan? You start to see obstacles as opportunities in disguise, chances to grow or to reroute closer to God's will. For instance, a job loss might lead you to a completely different field where you later realize you can serve a greater good. Or a disappointment in one area frees you to focus on something more important. Every experience, even the tough ones, becomes purposeful when viewed through the lens of divine alignment. As your desires align with God's, temporary pleasures lose much of their grip on you. The chase for more money, the need for approval, the lust for status, these things begin to feel empty. You may still enjoy life's blessings. There's nothing wrong with enjoying what God gives, but they no longer define you or drive you. You could walk away from a lucrative deal if it compromises your values, because integrity with God matters more than an extra dollar. You might say no to social invitations that conflict with important family or spiritual commitments, because your priorities have shifted. Far from feeling like a loss, these decisions bring you joy, because you know you're investing in what truly matters. Your heart finds joy in what delights God, showing love, extending grace, pursuing truth, and building others up. This alignment with God's purpose also brings clarity and direction to your life. Many people wander through life unsure if they're on the right track, but when you experience this sign of blessing, much of that doubt fades. You become confident that I am doing what I'm meant to do. It might not be a single grand mission. It could be as simple as being the best parent you can be, or spreading kindness daily, or excelling in your work as a testament to God. Big or small, you know your why. And knowing your purpose brings a steadfast peace. The noise of comparison or the pressure to meet worldly expectations grows dim because you're tuned into a higher calling. Even in uncertainty, you feel a steady hand guiding you, reassuring that as long as you seek him, you cannot go wrong. When you are aligned with God's purpose, there's an overflow of fulfillment and joy that affects all areas of your life. You wake up with a sense of expectancy, aware that each day is a gift and an opportunity to further his plan. Achievements and milestones taste sweeter because you see God's hand in them. Conversely, failures or delays don't crush you as they once might have because you trust that God can use them for good. It's a resilient joy that the world can't easily steal because it doesn't depend on ever-changing circumstances. It's rooted in the eternal. As Scripture says, the joy of the Lord is your strength. And indeed, you feel strengthened by a joy that comes from fulfilling God's design for your life. Ultimately, this alignment of your desires with God's will is the capstone of his blessings. It ties together all the other signs. The peace from sign 1 grows deeper because you know you're where you should be. The opportunities from sign 2 find their true meaning as you use them for God's plans. The character growth from sign 3 equips you to carry out sign 4 with integrity and love. When your heart beats in sync with God's heart, you are living in the flow of his favor continuously. Every day becomes meaningful, and even challenges carry a promise of growth or redirection rather than just pain. You realize that this is what you were made for, not the shallow fulfillment of worldly desires, but the rich, abiding fulfillment of living out God's purpose. At this stage, you can truly say that the greatest blessing is not any single gift or achievement, but the relationship you have with God and the sense of purpose it gives you. You understand that walking in God's favor doesn't mean life is perfect. It means your life is on the right course, and that gives you a fulfillment nothing else can match. People may look at you and see someone who isn't chasing the same things they are, and they might wonder why you seem so content and driven by a different fire. That's your chance to share that when God blesses you, He changes your heart's direction, and there's no greater joy than following where He leads. In the end, all these signs point back to one truth. God's presence in your life changes everything. When He blesses you, He gives you peace that anchors you. He guides you into opportunities you couldn't find alone. He shapes you into a better person. And He directs your life toward a destiny of meaning and impact. These 4 signs, unshakable peace, open doors, inner transformation, and aligned purpose, are evidence that you are walking under divine favor. They are the hallmarks of a life touched by God's grace. If you recognize even a glimmer of these signs in your life, rejoice and take courage. It means God is with you, working in you and for you. And if you haven't seen them yet, seek Him earnestly, because God loves to bless His children in these profound ways. In a world chasing temporary highs, you will have something much more valuable, the lasting fruits of a life blessed by the Almighty. That fulfillment, living in the center of God's will, is the truest blessing of all.